against bone china. The tea is dark. The steam rises, curling into the heavy afternoon air. Beside the cup sits a silver tray. On the tray, small, perfect pastries. They call them masitas, sweet, delicate, baked with care. You can hear the ticking of a grandfather clock in the hall, the murmur of traffic outside the window. A woman smiles from across the table. Her hair is perfectly styled. Her clothes are immaculate. She pushes the plate closer to you. She insists you take one, just one, to go with the tea. The air in the room suddenly feels terribly still. There is a scent hidden beneath the sugar. Faint, bitter, like crushed almonds. But you do not notice it. You simply take the pastry, and the woman keeps smiling. Buenos Aires, Argentina. The year is 1979. The neighborhood is Monserrat. It is a place of old money and faded grandeur. Tall, narrow doors, wrought iron balconies, shadows that stretch long across the cobblestones when the sun sets. The city outside is tense. It is a time of military rule. People disappear in the night. The economy is a house of cards. Inflation eats away at fortunes. Fear is a constant, quiet companion. But inside the apartments of Montserrat, the old world remains. Tea at 4 o'clock. Gossip over crystal glasses. Status maintained at all costs. Maria de las Mercedes. Bernardina Boya Aponte de Murano. They call her Yiya. She belongs to this world. She is married to a lawyer. She is elegant, charismatic, a fixture of the upper middle class. But the elegance is a shadow play. The foundation is rotting. Yiya Murano has a secret. She is drowning in debt. She has become a shadow banker, a captadora de ahorros. She takes money from her friends, women who trust her. She promises them immense returns, interest rates that legitimate banks could never offer. A classic pyramid scheme. The money comes in, but it does not go to investments. It goes to her lifestyle. It goes to the illusion. By the late summer of 1979, the pyramid is collapsing. Her friends want their money back. The promissory notes are coming due. The paper trail is long, and Yiya cannot pay. The walls of the Montserrat apartment are closing in. The heat of February in Buenos Aires is stifling. The air is thick with humidity and desperation. Yiya Murano does not panic. She plans a tea party. February 11th, 1979. Nilda Gamba is feeling unwell. She is a close friend of Yiya. She has entrusted her savings to her. Yiya comes to visit. She's attentive, caring. She brings a remedy, a common supplement, total magnesiano. Nilda takes the medicine. The symptoms begin almost immediately. Violent abdominal pain, sudden, overwhelming nausea, a desperate struggle for breath. The autopsy will later note the speed of the collapse, the rapid failure of the nervous system. Nilda Gamba dies. The doctors attribute it to natural causes. A sudden heart failure. Tragic, they say, but not suspicious. Yiya Murano weeps at the funeral. She comforts the family, and the debt owed to Nilda Gamba vanishes into the earth. 9 days later, February 20th, Leila Formisano de Ayala, another friend, another investor in the shadow bank. Yiya visits her. There is tea. There is conversation. There is trust. Leila suffers the same sudden violent illness. The pain, the vomiting, the desperate gasping for air. The clinical presentation is identical, but no one makes the connection. Why would they? These are respectable women. Violence does not happen in their sitting rooms. Leila Formisano de Ayala dies. Another natural death is recorded. Another debt is erased. The shadow banker's ledger is balancing itself, one funeral at a time. March 24th, 1979, Carmen Zulema del Giorgio de Venturini, a cousin, a confidant, and a creditor. Carmen is owed a vast sum of money. Yiya visits her apartment. She brings a box of masitas, the delicate pastries. They sit, they talk. Carmen eats the pastries. Yiya leaves the apartment. Carmen leaves shortly after, stepping out into the street. She makes it only a few blocks. She collapses on the pavement of the city. The same agony, the same asphyxiation. She dies on the street. The paramedics arrive too late. The police take her body. Natural causes, they assume. But this time, there is a flaw in the design, a crack in the porcelain. Carmen's daughter goes to her mother's apartment. The air is still. The scent of the pastries lingers. She knows her mother's finances. She knows the money entrusted to Yiya. She searches the desk. She finds a promissory note. It is signed by Yiya Murano, but the signature looks wrong. It looks forged. The daughter remembers the other deaths. Nilda, Layla, all friends, all creditors, all dead within 6 weeks. She goes to the police. She demands an investigation. The detectives listen. The story is absurd. A society woman poisoning her friends for money. It reads like a cheap pulp novel, but the forged note is physical evidence. The timing of the deaths is a statistical anomaly. The police request an exhumation. They need to look at the bodies again, not with the eyes of grieving relatives, but with the cold, sterile gaze of science. The earth is disturbed. The caskets are opened. The smell of the morgue replaces the smell of the sitting room. Cold steel tables, fluorescent lights humming overhead. The forensic pathologists take tissue samples. They run the toxicological panels. They are looking for a ghost in the blood. The results come back from the laboratory. The typewritten reports carry the weight of a judge's gavel. It is not heart failure. It is not natural. It is chemical. Cyanide, potassium cyanide, lethal, fast-acting. It starves the cells of oxygen. The victim suffocates from the inside out. They find it in Nilda. They find it in Layla. They find it in Carmen. The identical trace of the same violent chemistry. The investigators search Yiya Murano's home. They look through the pristine rooms. They find the ledgers. They find the evidence of the massive debts. The motive is laid bare in black ink. In April of 1979, they arrest her. The poisoner of Montserrat is taken into custody. The society columns explode. The public is horrified and captivated. The evidence speaks, but the law is a labyrinth. The first trial ends in shock. The defense argues the chain of custody for the organs was flawed. They argue the cyanide could have been a byproduct of decomposition or embalming fluids. The court acquits her. Lack of conclusive proof. Yiya Murano walks free. The shadow remains unpunished, but the prosecution appeals. The forensic science is re-examined. The experts testify again. They detail the exact concentrations of the poison, the impossibility of it being a natural occurrence. The forged financial documents are presented again. The pieces of the puzzle interlock perfectly. The debt, the tea, the pastries, the deaths. In 1985, the verdict is reversed. Yiya Murano is convicted, 3 counts of aggravated murder. The sentence is life in prison. The heavy iron doors slam shut. The elegant clothes are replaced by the uniform of the condemned. The teacups are replaced by tin mugs. 14 years pass in the gray light of the prison. In 1995, a reduction of sentence. Yiya Murano is released. She steps back into the sunlight, but she does not hide. She does not fade into the obscurity of shame. She embraces the camera. She becomes a grotesque celebrity. She appears on television. She sits at the famous table of Mirtha Legrand. She smiles. She denies everything. She makes jokes about tea. She makes jokes about pastries. The public watches, fascinated by the absolute absence of remorse, the chilling void behind the manicured presentation. It is a new kind of darkness, broadcast in full color. But the deepest shadow is cast by her own blood, her son, Martin Murano. He writes a book. He speaks to the press. He describes a childhood of emotional freezing. He recounts a memory that chills the blood. When he was a boy, she gave him a dessert. He didn't want it. She insisted. He fed it to the family dog instead. The dog died in agony moments later. He believes his mother tested the poison on him, or perhaps simply did not care if he lived or died. The monster was not just in the sitting room with her friends. The monster was in the kitchen, making dinner for her child. The years strip away the glamour. The television appearances stop. The money runs out completely. The mind begins to fracture. Yiya Murano is moved to a nursing home. Dementia clouds her memories. The names of Nilda, Layla, and Carmen fade into the static of a dying brain. She dies in 2014, alone, anonymous. The poisoner of Montserrat is finally swallowed by the earth. But the legacy of the cyanide remains. The cold calculation, the betrayal of the deepest trust. The spoon strikes the inside of the porcelain cup. A sharp, hollow sound. The steam rises. The pastries sit on the silver tray. You can hear the ticking of the clock. A woman smiles from across the table. She offers you a sweet. The scent of almonds drifts in the air. Do you take a bite?